K98 Talk is expanding its lineup for 2015. This means we're expanding our advertising base. Whether you're a startup trying to push through to the next level or an established business trying to supplement your advertising budget, web-based advertising is a solid investment. Thanks to Talk's newest partnership with TuneIn Radio and instant access to our sister station, K98 FM, we give you worldwide access at a reasonable cost. Interested parties should email us at advertise@k98talk.org. The leader in talk radio on the Internet, right here on K98 Talk and the Spark Radio Network.
In these uncertain economic times, you've got to do whatever you can to save money. One of our biggest expenses can be our cars, especially when unexpected repair bills hit. Not anymore. If you own a vehicle with less than 130,000 miles, is less than 12 years old, has a warranty about to expire, or even no warranty at all, you could stop paying for car repairs. Roadside assistance, towing, and rental coverage are all included. Don't wait for the next repair. Make one free call right now to see if you qualify. If your vehicle is less than 12 years old, has less than 130,000 miles, even if it's out of warranty, paying for car repairs can become a thing of the past. Call us right now and get your car protected before your next repair bill hits. Get protection and no more repair bills. Call 800-696-1030. Again, 800-696-1030. That's 800-696-1030. 800-696-1030.
Joe had huge problems with the IRS.
I knew it was coming. I hadn't filed taxes since 1990.
All the IRS letters coming in added up to a nightmare.
To get up to like $68,000, my heart started beating fast. It's like, there's no way, man. I mean, I ain't going to be able to do this.
Then they stopped his paycheck.
So that's when I started making phone calls and found U.S. Tax Shield.
U.S. Tax Shield went to work immediately.
They just took the bull by the horns. What blew my mind is he called the IRS right then and there.
So why is U.S. Tax Shield A+ rated with the Better Business Bureau? Joe knows.
They saved me a ridiculous amount of money.
If you owe more than $10,000 to the IRS or state, choose the company Joe chose, U.S. Tax Shield.
It was the best decision I made. U.S. Tax Shield is the way to go. Life is good. Thank you, Lord.
Call 800-471-3287.
U.S. Tax Shield. Boo-rah. Yes.
800-471-3287. 800-471-3287.
Welcome to Opinion Nation.
And we stand today on the edge of a new frontier.
There is nothing wrong with America that cannot be cured by what is right with America.
What makes us Americans is our shared commitment to an ideal that all of us are created equal.
I, too, am America.
Now here's your host, Bryce Robbins.
Hello, everybody. And as I say, what a beautiful Saturday morning. It was not last week. It was pretty gross out. But today, we have a nice, clear sky. Actually, not a cloud in the sky from what I can see. And I hope everybody who's listening is doing well. And I hope we all had a good week. And now it's time to get things heated up because on today's show, I have my guest. I'm his co-host on Finding Common Ground. Ricky Robinson is on our show, the rowdy one. So how you doing, Rick? My turn to ask you.
I'm doing all right. How are you doing?
I'm as good as I was 5 minutes ago.
So today that won't last long.
What?
Said that won't last long.
So today I figured we could talk about a couple things. One, I wanted to start off with the Democratic debates coming up. See, at my house, I'm having a big party with all my Democratic friends. If you look up my town, Leonia, the conservative part of town is where my history teacher is standing, and he's pretty moderate. This town is forged on liberals, so just kind of expressing it's not that hard to have a liberal party here. So I'm inviting a bunch of my friends over, and we're all going to watch the Democratic debate, and we're probably all going to be cheering for Bernie. So here's the thing, though. Lincoln Chafee is going to be on that stage, and he has less than 10,000 likes on Facebook and gets very little communication. Whereas one of our former guests, twice, Lloyd Kelso, running for president from North Carolina, has almost over 43,000. Now, here's the thing. Lincoln Chafee has been a governor. He's been a senator. He's been a Republican, a Democrat, and then an independent. And what I don't get is how he's going to be on the debate stage and Lloyd Kelso may not be. Now, I don't know if I agree with Lloyd Kelso on everything. And I don't think I do. I think he's too middle of the road for me. But here's the problem, is that this isn't democracy. This is based on what your former position was, is it not? Rick?
I'm sorry, you cut out on me. What was that last part?
Is this not just democracy based off your former position?
I mean, here's my problem with Lincoln Chafee. You said it in your opening segment. He's been a Republican, a Democrat, and an independent. Pick one. Make up your mind. Then people might actually respect you.
Seriously. But I don't get why he's going to be on the debate stage, because he's registering at less than 1%. Not that Lloyd Kelso's even registering, but the fact of the matter is we don't give people a shot to be president unless they were a former position or unless they have oodles of money to spend, like a Bloomberg or a Trump.
Your current POTUS kind of blows that theory out of the water. And by blows, I mean he sucks.
I hate you, Rick. I hate you so much. No, I mean, he did give a great speech on a national stage. I'll give him that. And he's an amazing speaker.
And he won a Nobel Peace Prize. I wish they could take it back.
Hey, that's true, too. That is true as well. Did you hear, by the way, Donald Trump sent Marco Rubio bottles of Trump water?
No, I had not heard that, but that would not surprise me.
I feel like there are just nothing that Donald Trump won't do. I mean, the guy literally does everything, and he just keeps going up in the polls. To me, it's...
I'm just waiting for him to climb up on the pole. I think he hasn't done.
So, let's talk a little bit about this Democratic debate, though. Do you think Bernie Sanders can come out a winner?
Again, a conversation that we had off air and a conversation that I've had with Dr. Aaron on my show is I think we are witnessing the changing of a mindset of a country because of, and you're going to hate me for saying this, but the liberal indoctrination that's been going on now in the public school sessions for now nearly 40, 50 years, that's usually about the amount of time it takes to change a generation's mindset. So I don't know if Bernie's going to get it this time. I really don't. But I think with the fact that he's filling up football stadiums and actually has better numbers than Barack Obama did attending his rallies in 2008, I think we are witnessing the changing dynamic of a country, whether we want to realize it or not, because at some point, all of us conservative old guard folks, we're going to be dead. And by then, the only people that are really going to be left running things are the folks like you who think that socialism is the way to go and the bee's knees, so to speak, to dust off some really old language just for the hell of it.
Well, it makes me incredibly happy. I just realized this yesterday. I won't be able to run for president until 2036. By then,
there won't be a president. Just saying.
Well, all right, fine. I won't be able to become Supreme Chancellor until 2036, which means...
Damn, I should have had the Imperial March ready for that one.
That's about the time we're going to go to Mars. So I want to be president while we go to Mars so I can give a really cool speech that will be remembered forever, just like JFK.
So since I will probably be dead by then, can we just agree that you need to go be the president of Mars?
Rick, you're not even that old.
Dude, I am 42 years old. Do you realize how old I'm going to be in 2036?
You'll be on your deathbed yelling, I told him not to do that.
No, I'm just saying, I mean, if you're that excited about, going to Mars, maybe you should run for president of Mars instead of Supreme Chancellor of the world.
I guess I could do both. Why not? Take over one, take over the other. I really actually kind of wonder how that would work. All right, but let's get into a legit conversation here about something that's literally tearing your party apart right now. I mean, they're going crazy in the GOP right now. I think you understand why. Because your Speaker of the House is bailing on you, and everyone wants Paul Ryan, but Paul Ryan wants to run... Wait, Paul Ryan. What am I saying? Yes, that's right.
No, you're right. Yeah,
keep going. Okay, Paul Ryan, sorry. I was thinking of Rand Paul for a second. I was like, wait, what? No. Paul Ryan wants to one day become president, but doesn't want to tell everybody that he wants to become president. So he's denying the job after everybody's literally asked him to run. And yeah, now we're where we are. So what do you think?
Okay, so, the interesting thing is, if you listen to the mainstream media, they basically are portraying it at this point as if the GOP is imploding. In theory, maybe they're correct, but here's what they're not taking into account. A lot of what's going on right now is, for the first time ever, grassroots movements are getting really, really big traction. Well, I guess not necessarily the first time ever, because it happened pretty well in 2010. The thing about it is, the establishment of the Republican Party despises the grassroots folks, because the establishment wants to retain their power. They want to make sure that their lobbyists are where they need them to be. They want to make sure that all the backroom deals are staying in place. A lot of the folks that are grassroots, like me, don't want anything happening. So when we saw Boehner, all of a sudden, I'm done. And not only am I done as speaker, I'm just going to quietly go away. We started cheering. And then all of a sudden, there's all this talk about making McCarthy, the current majority leader, the House Speaker, and everybody's like, oh no, because that's basically Boehner light, if not just a carbon copy of Boehner, which is not what we're looking for. What we want is somebody that's actually going to follow the will of the people. We haven't had that in a governing body in ages. If you look at what's going on with the presidency and you look at what's been going on with Congress, we haven't had anybody following the will of the people, and everybody's upset because all of these people that got this, and it took forever for the media to admit this, but they did basically get a landslide in the last elective cycle. They haven't done what they told everybody they were going to do, and they keep making excuses as to why they haven't done it.
Hang on, because by the will of the people, by that logic, Obama should have had all his laws passed, because that was the will of the people, and Republicans opposed him left and right. The goal when he was inaugurated was to oppose this president to make him a one-term president. The will of this people, wouldn't you say, is a democratic-leaning country?
No, I wouldn't.
How would you label us?
I would label us as a center at best, if not slightly center-right country. Because the simple fact of the matter is, none of us think that programs like food stamps and things like that need to go away. We just think they need to be better dealt with and get the people that are abusing the system off of the system. And a lot of us think that instead of them becoming a safety net, they've become a spider web, because it's become a voting block. Because now when you get the people that are on those programs, if you make it harder and harder and harder for them to get off, all you've got to do is have one guy stand up every few years and say, vote for me and I'll give you more. And that's exactly what they do. That's part of the problem. It's become a control mindset. And both parties have it now. I'm not saying Democrat, Republican. I'm saying at this point, whether we want to admit it or not, if you look at things completely from a Lockean perspective, which I know you're a fan of Locke, then both parties are more socialist than anybody wants to admit at this point, because they all are looking for the same thing. One wants to get us there on a bullet train. The other one wants to get us there on a handcart so nobody notices.
Yeah, I mean, that's actually probably the best way I've ever heard you put it, I have to say. I mean, in the almost a year we've been doing this, actually. I was looking at the months. We're rounding close to the year mark. We're a couple months away. But that's definitely one of the better ways I've heard you put it, and I agree. To me, it's, I don't know. I think it's tough.
Well, hang on. Let's back up for just a second, because we kind of changed topics in the middle. This is what should have happened after, and you can say the same thing for when Barack got into office and he had the majority of the votes and everything else. This is what should have happened, and this is the same thing that should be happening now that things have changed and everybody's like, hey, yeah, no. What should have happened and what hasn't happened, and this is what they told us they were going to do. everything that this Congress has not been able to do for the entire time that he's been a president, we need to put all of that in front of him, whatever it is, whether it's the pipeline, whether it's whatever we the people are telling them they need to be doing, it should be getting put up in front of the president and then let him decide. The same thing is true for the reverse, but see, the problem is, when all of this started, the thing about it is, if you go back to 60s, 70s, even early 80s politics, the conservative side of the aisle was always the one that during the time when power shifted, they were always the ones that said, hey, look, you know what? These guys are the ones that are in power now. We need to do what it is that the people have told us that they want done, because otherwise they wouldn't have voted this way. And time again, we were the side that kept doing that. But then when the other side got their turn, when the other side got to the point where, after so much time, because here's the thing, politics is cyclical. It doesn't matter how good of a job you're doing. At some point, people are going to get tired of having the same folks running everything, so they're going to change. The problem is, when that change happens, the Democrats were the first ones that started doing all the stonewalling and no, this isn't going to happen, that's not going to happen. Now the problem is, now we have a Republican Party who, about 20 years behind the curve, has been slowly figuring out that, we can do the same thing. So now everybody, what basically happens is what the song changes, so to speak, but the dance partners stay the same and nothing ever gets done. What ever really changes now is where everything else is exactly the same. All of the policies remain the same. I mean, if you look at the 2 terms of Bush and now the 2 terms of Obama, you might as well say this is George W. Bush's 4th term. As much as it pains me to say that, that is a true statement, because basically, for the most part, other than the few really, really wacky things that he's done, and this whole Muslim kiss-ass thing that he's got going on, the thing with Obama is he's basically been an extension of Bush for the last, now going on 8 years. Everything has pretty much stayed the same, except when it comes to those few things where he's deviated, and the few things that have honestly, in some respects, made things much worse. But I wasn't a fan of Bush about 2/3 of the way through the first term anyway, because of all the things that started coming out about the Patriot Act and everything else. This has been my problem with politics and the government all along. You are fine with the crazy crap that your guy's doing while he has power, a la immigration reform through executive order, and now possible gun control through executive order. Are you going to be just as fine with it when the other side ultimately finally gets a turn? If the answer to that question is no, then those things shouldn't be happening.
Before about morals, about how, well, I don't agree with yours, so I'm going to try to implement mine. I mean, I think it's the same basic structure.
Well, it is, because we're human beings. We all try to hold people to standards. That's how we're wired. But the thing about it is, the government shouldn't be holding anybody to any standards other than those that are outlined in the Constitution and our legal codices. That should be where all of it stops. And that's my problem with all of it. If we still had a federal government that was following the Constitution, we wouldn't be fighting over everything that we're fighting over today. It wouldn't even be an issue. As it has morphed itself into now, is a giant, enormous eating machine that cannot and will not stop, because now that it's built itself up to the level that it is, I equate the government to a shark. It cannot stop moving or it's going to die.
I'm not disagreeing there. But now, let me ask you this. Do you want Paul Ryan in? Do you want him in? Who's your ideal speaker?
I have lots of issues with Paul Ryan. But I have seen lots of folks like the founder of Red Nation Rising who've actually come out and said things in regards to Ryan that I somewhat agree with. Honestly, if I had my choice, it would probably, up until a couple of weeks ago, I probably would have said Gowdy. I think he stuck his foot in his mouth so far that I think it's going to have to be surgically extricated from his anus. But one of the other ones, because we do have a lot of political friends of the station, Louis Gohmert being one of them. I don't know if he would be a good speaker, but I do know that he's pretty popular. I think, honestly, right now, with as polarized as everything is, I think Ryan is far enough in the middle that he might actually be as much as it pains me to say this, because I don't really care for Ryan very much, I think he might actually be one of the better choices, because we have got to get a centrist in there somewhere. We have.
I don't think he'll ever do it, though.
No, I don't think he will either. Don't get me wrong. I'm not saying that he's going to, all of a sudden change his mind tomorrow and say, yeah, I want to be the next Speaker of the House. But I think, honestly, with if you look at the board as it's set up right now, because, as you know, most of the time I equate life to chess, because it's kind of a long-term strategy game. If you look at the board the way it's set up now, he's probably one of the better options that my side of the aisle has. I'm glad it's not going to be McCarthy. I am a little perplexed by all of these scandal stories that are slowly breaking out about this guy now, and I hope a lot of it is just ratings grab, because there's all kinds of stories floating around that he might be having an affair now and all kinds of other things that are going on. But the thing about it is, if you listen to the media, then the fact that he was basically unseated by grassroots social media movements is the worst thing ever. And I disagree, for the exact same reason that you think, and I'm sorry for the moment his name escapes me, but you've had him on the show twice, and he has 5 times the Facebook likes of the other guy that is going to be up on that stage. And well, I don't know, I think my coffee's wearing off. I don't usually talk for 2 hours in a row anymore. But anyway, so I disagree for the same reason that you disagree with the fact that this guy's got more social media traction and yet he's not getting anywhere. Social media, whether we want to admit it or not, is not going anywhere. If anything, it's going to continue to evolve, continue to grow, and it's going to become one of the key markets where decisions are going to start being made, because it's where everybody spends the majority of their time anymore. Nobody really watches TV anymore unless it's pre-recorded. Nobody really sits down to do much of anything, because now they don't have to. It's on their phone. It's on their tablets. We're witnessing the evolution of politics. And the problem is, right now, the politicians are, as they normally are, typically well behind the curve of the populace. So at some point, it will matter who's got more social media standing, but it doesn't yet. But that's why the establishment media and the establishment Republican Party were mortified by the fact that McCarthy was basically dethroned, so to speak, by social media movements who banded together. Red Nation Rising and PJNet Media, for the first time that I ever saw in my life, actually came together and started a hashtag campaign. If you take their social media impressions and you combine them, they basically took over the world for about 2 days.
Let me ask this, though, because here's what I really need to understand, and then we'll go to break. But we are entering into an age of social media. And Kevin McCarthy's comments about Hillary Clinton were within seconds on every single news page, every single feed on social media, and that ultimately led to him going out. And it was on every single media page and every single media station. The first time I heard it, when he says how we brought together this group. Here, I'll try to find the clip right now, actually. I didn't think that... I don't know, it didn't stand out to me as something like,
Well, no, it didn't. It shouldn't have stood out as a gotcha moment, because that wasn't how it came across, and how the media flipped it wasn't what he meant. What he meant was they were able to bring things to light to make the American people stop and think about what exactly has gone on with Benghazi. And here's my problem that nobody's talking about with Benghazi. You take, just take that particular little microcosm right there and look at how it played out, how it developed, and what we know now. They were
I have a clip.
Okay,
I have a clip. I'm just going to play it real quick.
I knew you'd want to ask it. What you're going to see is a conservative speaker that takes a conservative Congress that puts a strategy to fight and win. And let me give you one example. Everybody thought Hillary Clinton was unbeatable, right? But we put together a Benghazi special committee, a select committee. What are her numbers today? Her numbers are dropping. Why? Because she's untrustable. But no one would have known any of that had happened had we not thought and made that happen. Good. I give you credit for.
I mean, look, I think he's a freaking moron for saying that. But, it doesn't... because what he said, and I said in my last episode, was beyond stupid. Because, of course, the media is disingenuous, and they're going to lie, and they're going to make him sound like he said something that wasn't meant to be said. So that's why in my last episode, I went ballistic on him for saying such a stupid comment, because he's ruining it for me too. Because the Benghazi thing is what's making Bernie, this alternate approach. I mean, there's more things than that, but it's a huge thing that's hurting Hillary.
Well, I mean, and no matter what, that's going to be probably what winds up keeping her from getting the presidency. Because, and then we probably do need to take the break. But back to what I was saying a second ago, with Hillary, if you look, the administration was so afraid of what happened in Benghazi that they blamed it on a video that looked like it was something that was put together by a 5-year-old. And what they knew then that we didn't know was that Hillary was communicating with folks on something that wasn't actually a secure government server. So one of the first things they did was try to throw out a smokescreen, because here's the thing nobody's talking about. Every foreign government in the world has a copy of whatever she's trying to hide from her server. They did the moment they realized that she was having unsecured communications on a private server. And yes, it might be allowed, but it is frowned upon. And the simple fact of the matter is, you are still not supposed to have classified communications on an unsecured server. I don't care if there's an R behind your name or a D behind your name. If you're doing it, it's wrong. And we need to fix that, because here is my whole mindset on Benghazi. The reason that happened as quickly as it did, and it came together as quickly as it did, and it was as well thought out as it is, as we understand it is now, was because I guarantee you that part of what they are still, because they've already admitted that her server actually never was truly scrubbed. And everybody was like, oh, there's the gotcha moment against the Republicans because she's admitting that nobody ever cleaned her server. Well, you're not realizing the fact that means she just willfully admitted that she's hiding shit.
No, I know. It's to me.
Well, no, I don't mean you in general. Or you specifically. I mean the general you. Because everybody stood up and started going, oh, look, we got the Republicans because they just admitted that her server was never actually scrubbed. No, that just means that she's legitimately hiding things. And part of what she's hiding is, I guarantee you, that the reason that Ambassador Stevens died, and that came together as quickly as it did, was because it was somehow recovered by the folks that actually put all of that together because of that email chain that was on an unsecured server. That's my problem with all of it, is the fact that it has stunk from high heaven since day one, and nobody's done anything about it.
Well,
I mean, for God's sake, Romney caught Obama in a lie about this very issue in the second debate, and even his team, from a communication that I received, advised me that because they had decided that they felt they could win the campaign by taking the high road, they were not going to press the issue that they caught him in a lie in the second debate. So you tell me there's not something else here more bigger than anybody wants to talk about going on behind the scenes, when you have the Republicans and the Democrats basically, apparently via email communications, conspiring behind the scenes. I'm telling you, there's more here going on than we want to know. But
what worries me is that she's going to get elected, and then it's all going to come out by some foreign government or some WikiLeaks. Something sketchy is going to happen once she's president, and then there's going to be nothing we can do about it. But we have to go to break, and then when we come back, we're going to talk more about this and so much more. I'm Bryce Robbins, and I'm joined today by Rowdy Ricky Robinson on this beautiful Saturday morning.
According to me and Bunny, this show's not big. It's huge!
Mr. Trump, what are your thoughts on how should we go about making sure we can protect innocent life in this country?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
Donald, question right over here. What are you going to do as president in regards to Common Core? What actions are you going to take?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
That is like he can say that for anything.
Yes! It's just insert issue.
A lot of things.
Donald, what are we going to do for lunch?
We're going to be looking at a lot of different things. And, a lot of people are saying that, and a lot of people are saying that bad things are happening out there. We're going to be looking at that and plenty of other things.
It's According to Me and Bunny, Wednesday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on K98 Talk.
Wake up, America.
The biggest threat in those days were from factions seizing control of the governing apparatus and making decisions that were in their interests. Today, we call factions political parties. George Washington himself warned the nation about the dangers of factions in his farewell address.
Office Hours with Dr. A, 3 p.m. on Sundays, K98 Talk. We've got something to say to you, America.
We will never fully understand what we've asked of our military service members or their families, asking them to put themselves in harm's way, to endure it all. But we do understand that it's our turn, our duty, to keep them secure for the rest of their lives. Wounded Warrior Project long-term support programs help our most severely ill or injured veterans live independently, at no cost, for life, so that they might stand at ease. Join us at findwwp.org.
Wondering why you're up early with us on a Sunday morning making a cocktail? News lately got you drinking? Hung over from the mainstream media by Sunday? We are, and we got you covered.
We sure do. We got your hangover cure for those weekly news blues. So sit back, top off your mimosa, and add some Baileys to that coffee.
Take a match to your copy of the New York Times. Light, funny, and oh yeah, news with booze.
And a lot of laughter.
Welcome to Bloody Marys and Broadsheets.
All right, welcome back, everybody, and on this edition of Opnat, Opinion Nation, whatever we like to call it.
Take the options and Hewlett-Packard Challenge today in 5 questions.
I think that was me. I'm starting to get pissed off with all this internet ad business that it seems to be becoming even more prevalent just in this week alone. We're seeing more advertisements coming up, popping up, and then they can't go away for 10 seconds. Just leave me alone. Jesus Christ.
I hate to rain on your parade, but now that the government's going to start regulating the internet, the commercials are going to get worse.
Why is that?
Because it's going to get more expensive to operate.
Pity. It's a shame. It's honestly the most annoying. It's such a nuisance. But such is life, I guess, of us living in America as of now. Everything becomes annoying. So let's get back to what we were talking about before. Do you think that everything will come out once she becomes president?
See, that qualifies a statement in a way that I'm not comfortable with, because I refuse to admit that crazy ass woman's going to be president.
I mean, true that. Very fair, very fair.
But yeah, I mean, in the event that, let's just say for the sake of argument, that all of a sudden somebody brought us the DeLorean from Back to the Future and we were able to get the bitch up to 88 mile an hour and go see what happened. Argument that she gets sworn in, what would it be, 2017, I guess, because the election's 2016. I say probably within about 90 to 120 days from then, everything that she's ever done wrong in her life is going to be splashed all over every single newspaper possible, because it's going to be a way to basically continue to destabilize this country, which is honestly one of the reasons why in the back of my mind I'm terrified that she's actually going to become president, because I've said this on every show I've ever done. I don't think I've ever mentioned it on this one before, because I think I've only been on this one maybe now twice. There's the video game that I used to love to play when I was younger. It was back when the first Xbox came out. It was a game called Deus Ex. And basically it was kind of like a video game version of a choose-your-own-adventure book, where basically you could go in, and it was a first-person shooter type game, but as you went through, you made decisions, and what decisions you made basically changed the outcome of the game. Well, the thing that I've always loved to do, especially when there's multiple choices that you can make, is I would beat the game making one set of choices, then I would go back and beat the game making the other set of choices just to see if there was a different outcome. The very scary thing about that is at the end of this game, you realize that even though there were two completely separate, distinct paths who, as far as you could tell, were completely at odds with one another, behind the scenes, they were all working for the same people. I think our government's been that way for quite a while. And I think the fact that the only thing that really changes is where the money goes when everything changes sides, I think proves that to the point where I'm now uncomfortable with not being able to say at this point that I don't know who it is, and I'm not saying there's some big shady shadow government run by George Soros or anything like that, although I wouldn't be surprised if there were at this point. Somebody behind the scenes is pulling some strings, because there's too many consistencies no matter who's supposedly got the reins that never change. The Obama administration basically being now the fourth term of George W. Bush cements that in my mind. So I wouldn't be surprised if she does wind up becoming president, and I wouldn't be surprised if it is basically a move to basically put the finishing touches on what is left of our country, because here's the thing. Obama telegraphed a lot in that very first speech, and nobody was listening. In every single campaign speech he's ever done, which he's never actually really stopped campaigning, he told us everything that he was going to do. We're 5 days away from fundamentally transforming America forever. We're 4 days away. We're 3 days away. We're 2 days away. We're 1 day away. Oh, look, you voted for me. Now we're going to fundamentally transform America. Problem is, what we thought he meant, I don't think is the same thing that he actually meant. And I think that's the biggest problem. Because at some point, in order for there to be a one world governing body, they tried forever to basically build up the rest of the world. It didn't ever work. They tried to go in, take things over, rebuild them, re-educate them. The Western world has been trying to do that for decades. It never worked. So now all of a sudden somebody over the last couple of decades has gotten the idea that it's much easier to destroy than it is to create. So they've slowly been destabilizing Western economies.
Okay, sorry, you were saying that might.
That's all right.
Yeah.
So, and it all goes back to what we were talking about on finding common ground. The world economies are so linked now that when you destabilize one, eventually you destabilize all. Here's the thing, though, and this goes back to Soros again, and again, I'm not saying he's the puppet master, but let this sink in for a second. What is going on in our country right now and in Western civilization right now is what the U.S. government used to pay him to do in Eastern Bloc countries during the Cold War. So you tell me there's something going on that we need to know, and I will sell you a bridge in Brooklyn, because I can print out the deed to it real quick, like.
No, I mean, of course, there is stuff that is sketchy about our government, and I think we've moved so far away from a government for the people and a government for the corporation and for the profit. I really don't think that we are in a good place right now for this country. I think we're in a rather bad place. And it scares me. I mean, my generation is definitely one that is going to only continue this whole grassroots ideology.
Okay, and so hang on a second. I don't mean to cut you off, but I don't want to get too far away from a point that you just made. Because you just admitted that there are things about this government that scare you. But you want somebody like Bernie Sanders to come in who will basically take even more government control and more of our money to do the things that he thinks the government ought to do, and yet you just admitted that you don't fully trust the government.
No, I don't trust this government. I don't trust the previous governments, the administrations. I mean,
You're gonna trust Bernie? Is that
yes? I think
really?
Bernie Sanders is the most genuine, real people.
Hang on. Don't go too far away from me here. There are a lot of folks that bought what Obama was selling for now 2 terms. And yet he's basically, other than the apology tour and the Obamacare thing and the executive amnesty order, blah, 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 and the few really, really crazy things that he just said, you know what, screw it, I have decided I'm going to be an emperor. Because remember, he was the guy that said, I'm not an emperor, I can't do these things yet. Now he's doing them. So, my point is...
Come on, what's he doing that's emperor? Like, come on.
Executive amnesty?
But that's because Congress doesn't do anything.
So
we need action in this country. We vote for people and they don't do anything.
So wait, hang on. You're telling me that it's okay for him to circumvent the Constitution because of the fact that Congress didn't want to do what he wanted them to do?
In what way is he circumventing the Constitution? Tell me.
He signed an executive order granting amnesty. How the hell does that not circumvent the Constitution?
In what way does the Constitution talk about? Does it even talk about that, though?
Congress is the one that is the governing body that decides things about immigration laws, reforms, changes, borders, things like that. That's what they were designed for. If you remember, this
never mentions immigration. And here's the fact of the matter, though, is that we have a governing body that doesn't do anything. That needs to start doing things. Things need to change in this country. We have a big problem. We're not addressing the issues, everybody. I mean,
okay, terrific.
Let's look at this for what it really is. I mean, we have a government that is bloated and spends money and gobbles it up and spits it out and doesn't.
And yet you want to give someone who wants to take even more government control the reins. This is my problem. Nothing's going to change. Nothing changes from administration to administration to administration. It hasn't since the Clinton administration. Everything's basically been a continuation of the other. Each administration props up things that they don't want the other to know till it's too late to fix it, and the same thing is happening here, and I tell you right now, all you are going to do, if Bernie Sanders, and I honestly don't think he will. I don't think he's going to make it this time. But when we get somebody like Bernie in, who all of a sudden decides, that there has to be a 90% capital gains tax, and there has to be all of this, and there has to be all of that, and the government's going to take care of everybody, and they're going to do this, and they're going to do that. The problem is, where is all of that money going to come from? They're not going to fix what's broken. They're just going to keep more debt on top of more debt to do it, and eventually we are going to collapse under the weight of our own debt.
Maybe we just stop, financing all these wars we can't afford, and we stop doing all these stupid.
Wait, hang on. Wait. So you want us to do more of what we've already been doing, which is now basically making Russia the leader of the free world?
No, I don't think.
No. That's pretty much what you just said.
That's not how it works. That's not how it works.
Hey, hang on. What do you mean that's not how it works? We're watching it play out right now.
No, what is happening right now is we're being stupid. We're not playing, as you would say, we're not playing chess the right way. We're not being offensive. We're not being even defensive. We're just being neutral at home, and we're trying to appease everybody. If we just started using the mighty military technology that we have, stop spending it in such stupid manners, then maybe we would come out again on top on the military dominant appearing stage. I mean, at the end of the day, we are leaps and bounds ahead of all these other countries, Russia included.
Not really.
Destroy them easily. But the thing is, we don't flex our muscles. Okay, we don't show off.
You're painting a rosy picture again, which I really love, because now you're back to trying to lead with your feels and the warm fuzzies and all of that stuff. The simple fact of the matter is we are not the military superpower anymore, because we've been doing things the wrong way now for decades. I'll be the first one to admit we shouldn't be doing the Joint Strike Fighter because it's already been hacked by China. We have a governing body for the military that suddenly decided they want to retire the A-10 tank killer while it is still a valid, serviceable military weapon. We also have been for years now retiring our generals. So yes, we may for the moment have a much larger military presence than Russia, but while we've been doing it back-asswards, they've been doing it the right way. They've been cutting down the lower echelon military folks, and he's already started conscripting people because he knows what he wants to do, and he wants to resurrect the Soviet Union. I don't know if he's ever going to get there, and I pray to God that he does not, but that is his mindset. That has been his goal from day one, and I know this from experience because I lived through part of the Cold War. I was a little kid, but I remember exactly how crazy the KGB was, and that's where this guy came from. That type of stuff never goes away. I know this from experience because having spent the majority of my adult life with a firearm on my side, I still will not put my back to a door in a public place, and I don't carry a weapon everywhere I go anymore.
I'm just curious, why don't you carry that weapon anymore?
I mean, well, whether I do or I don't, it's concealed, so it's not like I'm intentionally trying to keep people or let people see that it's there. But when I openly had a weapon on my side, part of my training was never to put my back to a door. To this day, even if I'm not carrying my weapon, which I don't always carry it because the wife doesn't always like me to take it into restaurants since a lot of them are posted to not bring firearms, I still will not put my back to a door because it's training. Those things do not go away. Having him brought up from teenage years, fed into the KGB, chewed up, spit out into what he became, which was a kick-ass KGB agent, whether anybody wants to admit it or not, those things do not go away. Those things are ingrained in you. Your training never actually turns off. It's one of the things that we were talking about with this whole thing with this crazy chick from the last few weeks. Everybody kept asking me why I was getting in the middle of it. And it's just one of those things that you can't stop. There are 3 types of people in this world. And this is not meant to be a slam against any of them. But there are sheep, there are wolves, and there are sheepdogs. Sheepdogs are typically the ones that find themselves in military roles or law enforcement roles because they want to be able to protect those who cannot protect themselves. And that is something that can never be turned off. And that's what I kept bringing up when everybody's like, look, she's barely even saying anything to you. She's attacking these hosts from another station. I work pretty closely with these hosts from another station, and I don't like the fact that they're being attacked. So I have no choice but to step in because it's who I am. It's what I do. And it's always been who I am and what I do. And that's my whole point. Knowing who I am and knowing the type of training that I've had versus the type of training that I'm pretty sure he's had, which would probably make James Bond look like a Girl Scout. Those are things that you cannot turn off. So seeing what he's doing now makes me understand that we never should have done some of the things that we've done, but when we decided to do them, we should have turned the military loose instead of giving them all of these restrictions. Your military is designed to kill things and break shit. Those are the 2 things they do. That's what they're trained to do. That's what they do well. When you start trying to make them the police officers, there's a problem there. We should have sent them in. We should have obliterated what mattered. And then at that point, we look at the Iraqis and say, do you want our help or not? Because if you don't, we're going to leave. If you do, then we'll bring in people to help you rebuild. But you've got to follow our instructions. The same thing should be going on now with all of these territories that are under attack in ISIS. We should be basically going in there and obliterating them, but we're not. The problem is, while we're not, and we're inadvertently and supposedly accidentally attacking a hospital instead of killing ISIS, Putin is killing ISIS and also killing the rebels that we're funding because he wants to keep Assad in power.
No, I mean, the whole Assad in power thing scares me, but my problem is both sides offer a really shitty solution. Because what we have is, you have Putin who wants to keep Assad. That's not good, because we should not be fighting to keep up a dictator. Then on our side, we want to get rid of him. But then, you know what's going to happen? We're going to have an ISIS. We're going to have a Islamic fundamentalist group who's going to take control of Syria. And at this point, I call for something even more radical. Let's just freaking take over these countries. I mean, at this point, it's ridiculous that we have a government that we just go in, we blow up these countries, and then you know what? We leave, and then these other freaking countries come in, or other groups come in.
I swear to God, I don't know where you fall in the political spectrum anymore. Because on some level you are completely like democratic socialist, and on another level you are so imperialistic it makes me blush. You're basically calling for America to take over the world. That's crazy. Not only that, that's scary as hell.
Let's just all right. Here's my solution right now. I'm just making this up as I go. Let's just march into Syria, right, with UN forces, and we'll have it become called the United Nations. We'll get the United Nations out in New York, and we'll put it in Syria. The whole country will be the United Nations. It'll be the first global country. I don't know. I'm just making this up.
I don't know. I'm kind of digging the idea of getting the UN out of New York. Keep talking.
So we get the UN out of New York. We go into to Syria. The whole country becomes a international country. I don't know. And we just start freaking destroying all these terrorist organizations. Because let's be real, we can't live in this society where we have to appease them. Okay, Radical Islam is the problem, and we need to go to war with it, and we need to call it for what it is. It's a freaking problem. We have countries like Israel who we condemn for being, pro same-sex rights, pro-democracy, pro-protecting itself, and then we're apologizing because this faith is being manipulated to take over this region of the world, which is sick. And then we have countries like Saudi Arabia who are a ticking time bomb. I mean, they are so unstable. They make so much money based off a commodity that is going to be gone in the next 50 years. And on top of that, they have rules and laws that oppress democracy, but we share and trade with them. To me, this doesn't fucking make sense. It is time that Western civilization, Western-style countries, do what is right. Stop trading with autocratic dictators. Stop appeasing and going and, making love to everybody of the world who want to gladly kill us. Good thing this episode's ending now. I mean, I'm putting too much energy into this.
yeah, dude, you are all over the map today. I mean, on Finding Common Ground, you sounded more conservative than liberal. Over here, you sounded liberal, and then all of a sudden you switched over to Emperor Bryce. I'm a little concerned about your mindset, sir. Should we do a wellness check?
The world is in such a bad place. We have...
So, following your advice will make it better? Is that what you're saying?
Yes. We're going... we're going to take the Persian Empire approach. Look, you can join us, but you got to agree with us and assimilate. If you don't, goodbye. You're dead.
So...
the sun never sets in the Bryce Empire.
You are so all over the map today because in one sentence you're all like, "Oh, we should do these things because it makes me feel good to take care of people," and then you're like, "Yeah, if they don't want to, if they want to kill them."
No, if they want to do the same for me, then fuck you. I don't get our mentality.
So hang on though. This goes back to the conversation we were having earlier. The whole problem is, most of these illegal immigrants that are like causing all these issues in Sweden and everywhere else, these are ISIS folks. These are all military age folks that are coming across.
I don't want to say that they're ISIS folks. I really don't want to say that. I genuinely believe the large majority of these people are refugees. Do I think that ISIS might slip through the cracks? Yes. And we need to take action for that. But my problem is...
Sorry, keep talking. We're just gonna close out the show with you having your little theme song playing behind you. So keep talking.
We'll march to Syria. We will take it over gladly. I mean, no, but here's the problem. We have 7% of the Islamic world who are extremists. And it's time that we stop doing this modern warfare. It doesn't work. What we did in Japan works. Kill, destroy, break. That works. And then you know what? We spend 50 years in that country, and then you know what happens? It turns out as successful as Japan. Look at Japan. They're a Western-style country. They play by the rules. They're a capitalist, seems to be a very socially accepting country. But at the end of the day, it's because we were patient and because we did what needed to be done. And for whatever reason, we don't do that in Syria. We don't do that in all these terrorist-led countries. I mean, if it was my decision, we should go into Palestine and rid them of Hamas, a terrorist organization. Here's the problem. The United Nations condemns Israel for war crimes. But look at all these other countries. It's disgusting. The China executes more people than Israel killed this summer. But they're not getting charged for war crimes. It's amazing how this international global government operates. It's time that Europe, Israel, Korea, South Korea, Japan, the United States, Australia, all these Western-style countries unite and say enough is enough, and it's time to rid the world of the enemy. My name's Bryce Robbins. This was Opinion Nation. I'm gonna go put on my black suede suit and probably go choke some people with the Force. Have a good day, everybody.
Ladies and gentlemen, Bryce Robbins, Vote for Emperor 2017.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-513-6154. That's 1-800-513-6154. Again, 1-800-513-6154. Call now.
Tired of paying outrageous prices for Viagra? Well, we have great news for you. Now you can finally get Viagra at huge discounts. Healthy Man allows you to save up to $500 on Viagra. Why pay U.S. pharmacy prices of $15 per pill or more when you can get Viagra for less than $3 a pill? Call today and get 40 Viagra pills for only $99. This can cost as much as $600 at your local pharmacy. You can't afford not to call us. If you want Viagra at the lowest prices, never pay $15 a pill pharmacy prices again. Get Viagra for less than $3 a pill. Call 1-800-516-7602 today and save up to $500 and get 40 pills for just $99. Healthy Man is fast, easy, and affordable. Operators are waiting at 1-800-516-7602 to take your call right now. Call 1-800-516-7602. That's 1-800-516-7602. Again, 1-800-516-7602.